Welcome everyone to the Professional Networking for Career Seekers panel at the 2021 Veterans Florida Virtual Expo presented by Bank of America. I'm Dan Barrow, the Communications and Marketing Director here at Veterans Florida. We've got a great lineup of panelists who are going to offer their advice and insights on how you can build and leverage your professional network to help you land a career, hopefully here in Florida. So we'll start by having the panelists introduce themselves and their organizations. Mark Harden, care to kick us off?
Sure. I'm in Pensacola, Florida. I'm on the Veterans Florida Board of Directors and have been for about 4 years now. I am also formerly the Director of Navy Marine Corps Relief Society in Northwest Florida. I retired from that job. I also retired from the Navy after 30 years. So I have a lot of experience helping folks seek jobs and do the things that they want to do. I'm also with Navy League and National. I'm the National Judge Advocate for the Navy League of the United States. So I'm very happy to be here today.
All right, Anthony, you want to go?
Hi, my name is Anthony Bush. My name is Anthony Bush. I am with IBMF, that is the Institute for Veterans and Military Families at Syracuse University. Myself, I'm a retired Navy. I retired after 23 years. I retired in 2012. After that, I have been working in the field of HR, but I started working in IVMF back in 2016. Been doing this now for 5 years now with a program called On Which Opportunity that we produce. IVMF have many different programs that we offer. In the chat, I dropped all my information, how to connect with us, how to find out more information about the program. We hold cohorts within our area. We bring in many different companies. We teach you how to negotiate for salary. We do mock interviews. We really help that transition service member, that veteran, that spouse transition successfully out there to find that career, not a job, but a career that you want to be happy with on the other side. On Which Opportunity is a program where you can pick out certifications. Also in the chat, I dropped my list of learning pathways, so you can look over there and check out from project management to HR to IT certifications, whole different slew. If you're beginning in IT, we're a perfect program to start teaching you in that, and more to follow. Thanks.
Sure, yeah, and I can go next. And thanks, Dan, for the opportunity, and thank you to Veterans Florida. My name's Andrew Phillips. I am a senior account executive at LinkedIn. So in my day job, I'm working with regions to help them promote themselves on LinkedIn. But I'm also a member of our Veterans Employee Resource Group. While I'm not a veteran myself, I have several family members in the military, from grandparents and aunts and uncles on through. I've worked with tons of different veterans causes, raised money for a place called Patriot Point in Southern Maryland, which is a veterans retreat center that was set up through some donations a handful of years ago. It's the charitable arm of the Military Bowl. I'm still involved with that. I've spoken at all kinds of things involving veterans and LinkedIn, Hiring Our Heroes events. I've worked with groups like 4Block. And yeah, I'm just similar to Anthony, I'm passionate about helping vets get the most out of the platform, and I've helped them get into the careers that are going to take them and help them succeed beyond military life and really thrive in civilian life. So I'm really happy to be here.
All right, I think I'm up next, right? So Baron Mills, I'm in the Orlando area. I retired from the Marine Corps after 20 years, right about 5 years ago. I was an infantry officer. I spent my first 10 years doing all those things that you join the military to do, and spent my second 10 years doing the staff officer stuff that most people don't want to do. So over the past few years, I've really gotten involved in the veteran community, both in Florida and beyond. I wear 3 hats right now that I think are applicable to today. The first is I'm the executive director for FAVOB, which is the Florida Association of Veteran Businesses. FAVOB is advocating on behalf of veteran businesses in Florida in order to ensure that Florida is a state of choice for veterans that own and operate a business. I'm also a board member with the Camaraderie Foundation. Camaraderie Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit based out of Orlando, but it offers counseling services about 40 some states and Oconus locations through its network of providers to post-9/11 veterans, caregivers, dependents, and so forth. But it also does family fun days in Tampa and Orlando in order to bring veteran families together. And how I really got involved with them is through their mentor leadership program, which is also run in Orlando and Tampa, where they're really showing veterans and military spouses how to realize the opportunities in their community and how to become a leader in that community. And then the third thing is I am a 4Block instructor. 4Block is another national nonprofit, 501c3, almost about 11 years now, started by Marine Corps veteran. And in Florida, we've got cohorts in Tampa, Orlando, and Jacksonville is the home for the the Eastern region cohort. And each spring and fall, we take about 25 veterans per cohort and teach them how to brand themselves, how to put together a resume, how to get ready for the interview, how to negotiate, and also introduce them to Fortune 500 companies that want veterans on their team. LinkedIn is always a great supporter of each cohort, as well as companies like Amazon, Ernst Young, Advent Health, Seacoast Bank, and so forth. So happy to join this panel and looking forward to the discussion.
Excellent. Well, thanks everyone. And we'll get right into it. A lot of veterans and transitioning service members might not have had experience professional networking, and some people just aren't terribly comfortable with it. And this is open to anyone. What advice would you give someone attending a networking event, maybe in terms of ice-breaking topics or just kind of ways to get themselves more comfortable in that environment?
I think the single best advice I can give, just having spoken with hundreds of veterans as we're going through all these events as part of the ERG. First, just showcase your personality. Just showcase exactly what it is that you're hoping to bring to an organization. Even if you don't really know what that is yet, that's totally fine, because half the reason these companies are attending these events, or they've got representatives at different coffee table type things that you might be going to, is they're trying to meet people like yourself. They're explicitly trying to get out there and find people who have the passion, have all the intangibles that the military has bestowed on people, but even with some uncertainty on what exactly that next path looks like. If you can showcase your personality and express genuine interest, I think that's a huge first step into really starting a conversation with anyone. We have a kind of internal rule within LinkedIn, but I think it applies here. It's just be a good human. Showcase interest in what people are doing. Just showcase a bit of your personality. Don't feel like you need to have all the answers or need and the transition. Having spoken with a handful of people who have gone through it, more than a handful of people who have gone through it. It takes time to learn how to translate your language into civilian speak. It takes time to learn how to speak to the things that you did and how they translate, they translate effectively into a civilian workforce. Those things take time, and just be patient with yourself. And again, just be a good human, express your personality is step one.
For any networking
Anthony,
event,
did you have something to say?
go ahead.
Yeah, so great point there, Andrew. And I just want to add to the other side of that is, networking. We've been doing networking in the military, working with other units and stuff like that, trying to get what we need. So we need to take that and really think about applying it to the civilian world, and maybe looking at it in a different way, talking about our skill sets and stuff like that. And then when we attend events, maybe take a friend with us. Sometimes that helps ease us, because we go out there a little bit nervous. Most of the time, we got to be convinced to go out to the event, so little things like that can help us build our way up in there and get started in the networking.
I agree with those things. One of the things that I always recommend is just like you were studying for a test, go prepared. Make sure you're dressed appropriately. You've got a business card. Now, this business card, maybe you don't have a job right now. That's okay. It's got to have your name, contact information, and maybe a little interest information on there, and resume available. Something that you can leave them with, so when they leave that meeting, they go, "Who was that I was talking to?" They've got a card in their hand. Always go prepared, and again, be yourself. You can't be someone else and do it effectively. You've got to be yourself and talk to people. It's sometimes very hard to do and intimidating, but you can do it. And many of us have done it. It is a learned process. So go looking for those meeting locations, those meeting events. Many cities have places where they have people that are interested in either entrepreneurship or just getting out and meeting other business folks, find those meetings and prepare ahead of time, know who's going to be there if you can, and then you'll have something to talk about when you do that.
And that kind of touches on on the next question I had was, in terms of follow-up, whether it's in person or if you connect to someone online, what are y'all's thoughts on just kind of some follow-up best practices?
Yeah, well, it's about establishing a relationship, right? So whether that relationship's going to take off right away, or maybe it's going to sit for months or years to come. But you need to find some way of ensuring that you both remember where we meet and why. And so whether it's that LinkedIn connection with a personal message or email afterwards, if you found somebody that you really think can support your career, your professional endeavors going forward, go ahead and initially establish that relationship, knowing that doesn't mean you have to go have coffee the next day or start talking on a regular basis, but at least making sure you both verify that you met and why you met. It'll go a long ways in months or years down the road when you reconnect with each other and really go after some of those opportunities.
Aaron, I appreciate the tee up. We didn't talk about this beforehand, but we may as well have, because the point of advice that I was going to give is just to make it concrete. Okay, so you go to something that maybe it's on base, it's a transition event. The couple dozen companies are there. You're wandering all the different coffee tables, handing out resumes, handing out business cards. I love that bit of advice. How do you keep these things in line? How do you keep these things, how do you keep that frame of mind of, okay, I need to follow up with these people, and who do I want to follow up with? Or the simplest way and the lowest tech way is just to write down little notes on all the business cards you get. These people are going to blend together. The conversations are going to blend together. So for, if it's me, I just leave the Microsoft booth and I flip the card around of, maybe there's a woman recruiter or somebody that I just gotten, and I say, okay, write down the 3 notes that come to mind of that conversation. It's, open roles in this, follow up with so-and-so, send thank you note. It just, boom, cool. Then that goes back into your portfolio or into your pocket, and then you're on to the next one. So that when you're looking at all these business cards, you're not going, gosh, who was that? And what? So that's the first thing you can do. The second thing you can do is, and it's a good conversation starter, a way to stand out, because not many people know this is actually a feature on LinkedIn. But if you, and I'm going to try to do this as cleanly as I can, if you have the app pulled up, as I do, there's this little bit, it kind of looks like a little Foursquare logo in the corner of the search bar. If you hit that, it'll pull up your individual QR code. So imagine, again, we walk up to Microsoft booth and it's, hey, I really enjoyed our conversation. Can I show you something really quick? And it's just an intriguing way to get somebody's attention, where you say, hey, I'd love to connect, would love to keep the conversation going. Would you mind if I connected with you on LinkedIn? And I would be shocked if people have actually seen this, because every pre-plague time, every conference I went to and things, no one had ever seen this. But you pull this out, and then you can either scan somebody else's code, or you can show them your code. And then once that happens, you're connected. And from then on, you have a chronological order of all the people that you've connected with. So you can go back and you can look at their profile and see their picture and go, okay, remember that person, they're at this company. And then further, you've got a connection into that company. So if it's Microsoft and you're interested in moving to Northern Virginia and working in the big Microsoft hub there, now you've got a connection there. Now you're following that person's feed. Now you're keyed into the different things that company cares about, especially if that person is at this event. They're likely really interested in hiring good veteran talent. So you've got an in with somebody, and you have started that relationship on a good foot. So 2 bits of advice there.
Excellent. That's I had no idea that existed, and like you said, I doubt 99% of the people out there do as well. And I want to come back to LinkedIn here in a minute, but Baron, you're super involved in, as you mentioned, a variety of organizations. I'm pretty sure I see you at every event I go to. What are some Florida-based or organizations that have a presence in Florida, whether it's networking or professional organizations, that you'd recommend veterans get plugged into?
Yeah, so actually, I just had a conversation 2 hours ago, kind of similar to this. So I actually have a little bit of a list in front of me. So I think there's 3 things that we're mostly looking to get involved in or create relationships towards. One is employment, second is possibly business ownership, and the third is just your community, right? So I think in essence, all veterans have the same thing going on, which is eventually we realize we need to be part of something bigger than us as we were in the military. And so we're looking for that purpose, that whether it's through the employer we're with, nonprofit we're supporting, or our own business that we're pushing. Of course, push people towards Veterans Florida. One of the first things, if they're already here, they should know hopefully enough about Veterans Florida to know what you offer. Florida Association of Veteran Businesses, our chapters we have right now in Tampa, Orlando, and the Space Coast, they host regular networking socials that people can show up to and meet other veterans or professionals that might be aligned with. FAVOP also does bi-monthly online virtual events that they can meet people on network with. But there's a host of other organizations. So any chamber of commerce that's in your area. So I don't care where you are in the state. Just type in Chamber of Commerce in the name of where you are. You're going to find, all those minority or ethnic driven chambers of commerce. You're going to find municipal locations. You're going to find industries and so forth. Find out what those chambers are doing and go to some of those events. Other though organizations that you might be looking into are like Fairways for Warriors, based out of Orlando, but operations also in Tampa and Northeast Florida. It's a great way to interact with in a low stress environment with other veterans. Team Red, White, and Blue is a great way to connect with other veterans in your area. Team Rubicon as well. The Mission Continues has a number of platoons throughout the state. That's a great way to get involved in supporting your community as well as networking with other veterans. I've already mentioned 4Block, but there's just if you just there's a number of groups on Facebook, there's a number of groups on LinkedIn. The reality is right at your fingertips, digitally, and then probably just out the door within a couple miles. There are probably veteran organizations and professional organizations meeting on a regular basis that you can get a lot of value from. So just do a little bit of query in your community and you'll find some great opportunities to go meet folks.
Great advice. And Mark, we all know how big the military presence is over in the Panhandle where you are. Any organizations you'd recommend?
The first three organizations that I attacked as a retiree, trying to get feelers out into the community and figure out what's going on and where I wanted to be engaged, were Navy League. I became a member of the Navy League. There's a lot of business people in Navy League, so that you can make good contacts there. The Chamber of Commerce, which was already mentioned, is a great resource, and they always have networking meetings and things that you can get involved in, and the chamber needs the people to come, and so they'll be happy to invite you. And also, I joined a Rotary Club. Now that seems sort of odd, that's not military related, but let me tell you, there's a lot of businesses, mainly businesses, people in a Rotary Club. And I ran into so many people and got up on a personal relationship with them, sitting at tables and having lunch with them. So those are three of the things that I did. And if you look, there's a lot of organizations that have been founded around veterans and veterans jobs in your area. Almost every area has something supportive of veterans. So it just takes a little research. And I'm going to plug LinkedIn again. LinkedIn's a good place to start looking for things in your area that are supportive.
And kind of while we're going around the state, Anthony, do you want to talk a little bit about the same topic with Jacksonville and some of what you do over at Onward to Opportunity as a resource for veterans that are transitioning?
Absolutely. And one, I'm gonna replug myself because of the great program that it is and what it does for the service member and that spouse that coming through here and looking for those opportunities out there and connecting them with these companies and actually giving those skill sets back to them. But also there's other programs out there that we have, such as Operation New Uniform. Is a program is a little bit designed a little bit different. It's about getting into that actually company and learning more about that company and how they work in between and actually just refining those skill sets that they need to actually really get into those companies. We also have, we deal with 4Block. We have 4Block invited in as well, another great program. I was talking about Shift earlier, SHIFT, another program that's out there that is helping transition program. It depends on where you are in Florida. Transition USA is another program that's out there. All these programs are in my space as well, but most definitely we share because we are a free program. So we try to push out all resources from all sides. We have my entrepreneur program in there, so they can find out more about that. It is a free program as well as a 3-phase program. Even in phase 2, it's a 9-day residency at one of the universities out there. We fly them out there. We pay for their food, their lodging, and their training supplies for those 9 days that they're there getting that training. And phase 3 is 12 months mentor support. A lot of different programs out there. We just try to hook everybody else up.
All right, thank you very much. And the topic that keeps coming up, LinkedIn. Andrew, obviously, so much of networking has switched online, and y'all are at LinkedIn are really one of the go-tos. You want to talk about some best practices as well as the opportunities and the programs that y'all have for veterans to take advantage of LinkedIn?
Absolutely. So before I do that, one thing that I just want to make really clear is something that I hear pretty commonly as in discussions like these and others that I've been part of, and even in the materials that I see handed out by well-intentioned groups. And this is not an attack on any group that encourages a veteran to get a LinkedIn profile or to update their profile. That's not what I'm speaking about. What I would want to encourage people to think about, though, is, and there was and Anthony, to bring up a Dan Savage quote, I heard him say at a military base one time, telling somebody to just put up a LinkedIn profile or to establish a LinkedIn profile is about as useful as telling somebody who's interested in farming, here are the keys to a tractor, right? It's just, it doesn't even begin to grasp the surface of the kind of things and practices. And if you're going to be into farming, what do you need to know about climatology? What do you need to know about soil? What do you need to know about different growing times? There are all these things that you have to bring in and context that you have to bring into the platform. But so much of the conversation, as I see it, is, hey, make sure you get your LinkedIn profile. And then it's, all right, job offers are going to start rolling in. And that's not how it works. So a couple of things just to keep in mind about LinkedIn specifically. So the first is, if you haven't been to veterans.linkedin.com, you should go there today. And the reason you should go there today is there's a bunch of free stuff for you. Among them are a year of LinkedIn Premium, which you get just by nature of showing your affiliation with the military branch. This applies to spouses and caregivers as well. So your spouse, if you're within your family, you're caring for a military member, whatever the case might be, they all get free access to LinkedIn Premium for a year. What's on LinkedIn Premium? There are two things that are important. First is you get what's called a job seeker profile. And I'm going to talk in 2 seconds to two things that I just want people to bear in mind when they're on LinkedIn and navigating LinkedIn. The second thing that you get is access to LinkedIn Learning. What's on LinkedIn Learning? LinkedIn Learning is a company that people might be more familiar with called lynda.com. We acquired them 5-6 years ago. And since that acquisition, we've transitioned the platform into what is now LinkedIn Learning. But specific to veterans, there are all kinds of different things that you can dive into. So it's everything from hard skills to soft skills. There's a specific course that Florent Groberg, who used to work for us and has worked for Boeing. I forget exactly where he is now, but he's a former Medal of Honor winner, given by President Obama, I believe in 2009, 10, something like that. He leads a whole course on transitioning from active duty into civilian life. So, you don't need to hear it from people like me who are not actually veterans, who have not been through this process. There's only so much context I can bring, and there are only so many things that I can bring into a conversation with how to put your best foot forward on LinkedIn, that kind of thing. The great thing about this course is that it gives it to speak to, and I think it was Baron who brought up this idea that it's not just going to work for a big company, potentially for you. Maybe for you, it's starting a business. And you can hear from the people who are small business owners, who are veterans who have successfully transitioned. They talk about their struggles. their insecurities, their search of identity and community, and the things that happen to people as they're going through this process. And you can hear it straight from them. And it's a really well put together course and something that I just can't recommend enough. So LinkedIn Learning, veterans.linkedin.com, get that set up. The next 2 points that I want to bring up specific to LinkedIn and profiles and what to do, what to go about it. I could spend a half hour talking about profiles. I'm not going to do that. But what I will do instead is include a link to something that we call the executive playbook. And this playbook basically walks through, it's a 10-step, okay, here's why it's important to have a headshot. Data on, job seekers finding more opportunities if they have a sharp headshot. Details on what that is. Why it's important to include an about summary. Why it's important to include details in your professional experience. Why it's important to include volunteer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So even if you're just getting started with your profile, just a couple of things to keep in mind there. So I'll drop it in after I get done speaking, but one, just having a sharp enough profile. Okay, I'll get it, Dan, I'll get it to you, and then we can figure out how to get it more broadly distributed. But basics of a profile are actually really important. So have a headshot, include a summary, introduce yourself in first person. Because if you think about the process of somebody coming to your profile, they're going to scan it for 8 to 10 seconds is the reality. So you want to leave as positive an impression and inviting an impression as you can with that time that you're granted. Let's say it's a recruiter. Let's say it's somebody who's interested in hiring veteran talent, whatever the case might be. The second thing that I'd say is that, and this is another one of those, sort of uncovered topics on LinkedIn that nobody really talks about. When you have access to that job seeker profile, the most powerful thing that you have access to is what's called your secondary connections, your second degree connections. What are those? They're not the people that you know, they're the people who know someone who you know. So just to follow that logic back a bit, we have a lot of research that we've done in understanding the effect of networks and understanding the effect of networks on business that, for example, business transactions are 3 times more likely to happen if you are introduced through a neutral third party that both of you know. That's a huge impact. So if you're a business owner, your sales are going to increase 3x if every lead that you get is introduced by somebody that you both know. That's a huge deal. Now, the way that you go about taking advantage of this is, one, you have to be kind of strategic in figuring out, okay, do I want to meet just all the veterans in my area? You can search filters and do all kinds of things to do that. If it's a particular company, who do I know who knows somebody within this company that I can ask for an introduction? Who is it in just my community in general? Who's either a veteran or somebody that I'm connected with that is an attractive person on the platform that I'd like to have an introduction to. So think about those 2 pieces of advice I think are really key. One, get the basics of your profile right. And we'll include some resources on how to do that. And there's a ton that you can get on LinkedIn Learning related to that. But then 2, don't just introduce yourself or connect with people blindly. I think that's a mistake that a lot of people make because it's easy to be forgotten that way. And it's not that people are ill-intentioned. It's just that they see a connection request from somebody that they don't know. And okay, I don't know that person, I'm moving on. Versus if, Dan and I know each other, even only having met over Zoom over a few times, if Dan asks for an introduction to somebody I know, I'm going to grant it because I know Dan's a good guy. And we're going to tee up that conversation. And it's going to go a lot more smoothly than had this person just asked to, connect with either of us independently without understanding that we know each other. So take advantage of those second degree connections wherever you can, because those are going to open a lot of doors into places that may look closed or may look intimidating.
Excellent, excellent. And Baron, I think you had a couple of points you wanted to make.
Yeah, so first one, I want to further reinforce what Andrew's talked about there with please send a personal message with any request. That's a pet peeve, but it's a proven way of doing it. You wouldn't walk up at an in-person networking event and just slip your business card in somebody's pocket or put it in their hand and then run off. You're going to start a relationship with them. So the same thing needs to happen on LinkedIn. You need to send them a personal message. And I know a lot of people, I think, get messed up with the mobile app because you have to make sure you press the 3 buttons first in order to select on personal message.
I had a lot of issues with LinkedIn generally, Baron. Believe me, and that's just one of them. But yeah, because if you click the connect on the desktop, you're going to be asked if you want to send a personal message. If you're using the mobile app, you got to make sure you click the 3 dots first for more, and then choose personal invite.
But people like me out there, right? I've got 6,000 some connections. The first 3 or 4,000 I made, I don't have any kind of message with them. I have no idea why we really connected, and that hampers my ability going forward. So people send me invitations every day, and I answer very few of them because they don't send me a reason. If you're asking me to take my time to connect to you, please take some time to tell me why we should connect. How can you offer me value, or vice versa, and so forth. So please add a personal invitation. And the second one is, I don't think most people understand the true power, and it's part of what Andrew's talking about as well, that the LinkedIn search allows you. All right. And again, veterans want to help veterans in most cases. I can go and look at Orlando or Tampa or Jacksonville. And besides looking at that area, I can now go into past companies and select US Army, US Navy, United States Air Force, Marine Corps recruiting. And now it's going to show me in my search all the veterans, those people who have identified themselves as veterans in that area. I go even further. I can select Lockheed Martin or Boeing or Amazon and find veterans working in the companies that I'm interested in industries. Everybody I usually talk to, I have a lot of conversations every month through Betterati.com. This is a function almost nobody knows about. And if you want to really get somewhere quick, do those targeted searches to find veterans in the industries and companies you're interested in. And then, like Andrew said, then now look at that person and see what mutual connections you have in common. And if you need to, ask for that mutual connection to do a referral intro for you, and you're going to get somewhere a lot faster than trying to go about it, on your own.
I just want to say it's one of the things that we preach in our course as well is about professional stalking, is getting on LinkedIn, making those connections like that. That's how you're able to find out about those companies. We talk about the stat that says 35% end up leaving a first post-service job in less than a year. That stat used to be more than that, so we talk about that. You got to get out there and meet some people in your company, learn a little bit more, and we push reading those mission and vision statements as well. Really learning about that company and doing that research.
Another thing to point out along both of those points, which I think are excellent, is if you have a degree, if you have a university degree, university pages, they're huge. You've got to lean into them because you can do the exact same type of things that Baron was talking about with isolating either branch by past company. You can go, branches that way. That university page is deliberately built for somebody who's a student who's trying to take advantage of their network, or a graduate who's trying to take advantage of the network that university has on the platform. So just as you can with military branches, you can say, okay, in my case, University of Virginia, isolate, okay, just grads between this year and this year, just grads who had these degrees, just grads who live in this area. And then bam, there's 10 names. Okay, which one looks the most appealing? Do I have any second degree connections among those 10 names? Great, here are 3. Okay, within those, and you play this game on and on, but university pages are another huge way to gain some of those quick keys in.
Yeah, that's great advice. Baron, I know you practically live on LinkedIn. I think the first time that we met, we were at a conference, and I think I had a LinkedIn request from you by the time I got off the elevator. So I think we're getting pretty close to.
Can I make a related comment to that, Dan? Which is, so I've actually been very inactive on LinkedIn recently. Like I'm recently maybe only able to check in about once or twice a week and really kind of catch up on those days and stuff. And it's one of the messages people out there is understand. Look, not everybody who has a LinkedIn profile is active every day. Not everybody is just going to accept your connection request because you sent one and so forth. Worry about those who do respond. Put your focus on those who do engage in stuff. But understand we all have lives we're living, and sometimes it's not you, it's them, and they just aren't getting back to you because they have things going on in their lives that they got to take care of. And so focus on those who are responding. Don't worry about those who aren't. Either they just aren't very active on LinkedIn, or maybe they have something going on that's not allowing them to engage the same way right now.
Hey, I just want to add that to that too, Baron, that also we talk about them having active lives. You're not always going to get a no on LinkedIn. It's normally that silence or nobody reaches back out and respond. But that don't matter. Just keep moving on. Also, when you reach out to someone, they got busy lives, just like he's saying. It might take a month. It might take 2 months for somebody just to come back on and say something to you. Just have that patience. And I like that point, Barry. Thanks.
Well said. And in the few minutes that we have left, why don't we just go around kind of real quick, just one key takeaway and one main do, and feel free to include a quick don't if you got one off the top of your head. Mark, I know that you're especially on a tight time limit, so you want to go ahead?
Sure. Thank you, Dan. I think a lot of folks go to the local job searches and the job opportunities out there, and you go and leave a resume and that kind of thing. The most important thing I think you can do ahead of time is find out who's going to be there. Go online, search the web to find out about the company, a little bit about them. Someone said you need to know about their vision and their mission. That's important, so that when you walk up to that table, you know what you're talking about. Do a LinkedIn search on the company and find out what kind of people are there. And you can get a list of the people that are on LinkedIn that are associated with that company. So when you're doing job searching like that and you're talking to recruiters don't have a whole lot of time, but you'll pique their ears and you will pique their interest if you know about the company and you know what you want to do. The last thing you want to do is walk up to a table and say, I'm here, I'm a veteran, and they're going to ask you, well, where do you want to fit in our company? And you go, well, what do you got? They have turned you off immediately. They're not going to listen to anything else you say because they know you're not prepared. So go prepared.
Well put. Anthony?
So one big takeaway from this is there's many different resources out there in the veteran community now. Back 5 years ago, you can look back and say it wasn't that many out there. Now it has blown up. So that being said, is you're not in that transition space by yourself anymore. There's many different organizations. One, if you haven't read about Onward to Opportunity, please read about us and understand what we do. We try to introduce everybody to all of their resources out there. And that's one thing that we need to learn and share. So please research and find out more about what's out there. And so you're not out there by yourself. And you can learn all these tidbits inside these organizations.
I can go just to wrap all this up. Again, to come back to that point I made about you wouldn't just give somebody interested in farming the keys to a tractor. LinkedIn is a tool. It is not a service. Just to make that explicitly clear, there are a lot of different things that LinkedIn can provide you if you're using these things, but you have to put some effort into using them. This narrative that, oh, you just set up a LinkedIn profile and in the job opportunities role, that may have been true at one point, but it is definitely not true now. So, lean into the experience of people who have done this before. To Anthony's point, you are not doing this alone. You are not the first person to have done this. You're not the first person to have doubts and questions about what they want to do. So use LinkedIn to start those conversations if that's the first comfort point. Find veterans in your area. Go to these events, especially as the pandemic starts easing off and in-person events become a lot easier around the country. Really lean into those in-person events, and again, just be a good human, establish relationships, and be in it for the long game.
Yeah, my last thought is what networking really is to a veteran, and I think too often we try to drop military terminology and jargon as we enter the civilian world. And a lot of people, especially as leaving the military, hear networking and they think it sounds unsavory or something that they're not. Like, networking is human intelligence. We wouldn't do major operations, we wouldn't go after high-value targets in the military without human intelligence, informants, and sources who make sure that we know what we're going after and we have the information we need to have a successful mission. That's what your network is you are getting insiders in companies, industries, to make sure that you are making informed decisions and not going in blind. So think of it that way. It's just another military operation in your life. And this time you're setting yourself up for success by getting the right contacts so that if that's the right fit for you company-wise, or if if it's going to be the right opportunity for upward growth, or maybe if it's the right person to work for or not. It might sound like a great job, but it's just the wrong person that you're going to be working for and so forth. So keep that military mindset, realize that you're setting up a human intelligence network, and go forward and start doing that.
Awesome. Well, Mark, Baron, Anthony, Andrew, really appreciate y'all joining us today, and some outstanding advice on had to really leverage and build that network to land a career here in Florida. So we appreciate it. I think everyone that's viewing it will appreciate it, and we'll see everyone soon.